Good evening, and welcome to tonight's webinar, Fueling Fun, Summer Nutrition for Kids. My name is Candice Wu, and I am the Program Manager for Pediatric Community Outreach of Gloria Children's Hospital. Just a couple housekeeping reminders. Tonight's webinar will be recorded. Please refrain from using personal information and asking personal questions. We do encourage you to use the Q&A, and we will have time at the end to answer any questions you might have. And everyone will be receiving a copy of the webinar as long as you registered. And it is my pleasure to turn it over to Ms. Katie Mott.
Hello, my name is Katie. I am the dietitian for the Gloria Kid Fit program. It is a pediatric weight management program. We're located in Morristown, and I've been the dietitian there for several years, so really enjoy doing that. And tonight we're talking about summer nutrition for kids. So, I think we all know what the challenges are during the summer for kids and for eating healthy. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end. So I'm just going to share my screen so that you guys can follow along. Just give 1 second. All right. All right. So as I said, my name is Katie. I'm dietitian for the Kid Fit program. So what are we going to talk about tonight? We will talk a little bit about tips for maintaining good habits over the summer or trying to maintain good habits over the summer, easy meals and snacks, and maybe some healthier swaps for the stuff that we know is sometimes tempting but not so great for us. Right. Look familiar to anyone? This is, I think, what every parent struggles with over the summer. I think that I saw this and I was like, this is just hilarious. I had to include it. So obviously, I think we can all, agree that this is sometimes what it looks like over the summer. All right. So what are the benefits of eating healthy? Why do we want to eat healthy, especially for kids? Reduce risk of chronic disease. So we know eating healthy is not only important for adults, it's super important for kids to reduce the risk of disease later in life. From my perspective, achieving a healthy weight is very important. So we want to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. We also want to support healthy growth and development. And we know that nutrition is important for cognitive function, and it's also important for mental health. So why is it important even in the summer? In the summer, I think it's almost more important because our routines and our access to foods vary so much. So we have more fresh produce, which is great. More opportunities to eat fresh fruits, fresh veggies, but we also have way more access to treats. So I think it's a struggle. There's more activity and exercise, which is great, but also more time outside in the heat. That means we need to maintain not only, kids' energy levels, but also we need to make sure that we're hydrating adequately. And this was something that I didn't necessarily realize, but many children have their growth spurt during the summer. But if you think about it, sometimes your kids come back from school break. I'm sure when you come back from a long break, sometimes you look at people and you're like, they really grew. We don't know why this happens. We think maybe it's because of sleeping more, maybe being more active, but adequate nutrition helps support this. And then we also want to, think about kids are always growing, they're developing, and we want to have good nutrition in order to support this. So just like kind of an overview of nutrients and foods to focus on just in general for kids. As adults, we need a lot of different things, but kids need a little bit more of certain things. Things like vitamin D, potassium, iron to kind of support all that growth and development, support kind of their growing, their increasing their blood and their bones. All that stuff is important. Protein for muscle and bone, calcium for bone, and fiber because, a lot of times kids have trouble going to the bathroom, number one. Number two, so it's really important to make sure that like, little tummies get enough fiber from things like oats, beans, apples, a lot of different places. And I put some examples of foods that are high in those nutrients, just so you can get an idea of where we really can get those nutrients in a good source. So I won't go over every single one of them, but definitely things to focus on for kids. All right. So some tips for summer. I think, sometimes we go into summer, we're like, oh my gosh, it's just going to be a wash. Like, we're just going to eat, terribly. We're going to have all these treats around. Like, I think it's important to kind of like reframe that and say like, okay, we're not going to focus too much on like totally restriction, but trying to focus on balance, trying to focus on structure, to help maintain that sense of, okay, I'm having my treats, but I'm also having some good stuff too. So a couple of tips to try and do that. Try and plan meals and snacks with at least two food groups. So I think this is a really easy way to make sure that your meals are balanced. So carbs, protein, healthy fat, fruits and veggies, all of these different things help to make a balanced meal. So what I kind of teach is like food friends. So for kids, you can think about it as saying like your food needs a friend. That's a really easy way for them to remember like, hey, I need to add like more than one thing for this meal. So you don't just have a piece of toast, you have a piece of toast with peanut butter. You don't just have like some fruit, you have some fruit and yogurt. So trying to balance things out, and including a lot of local seasonal produce whenever possible, because it's not always true, but a lot of times that produce travels less of a distance to get to us, makes it a little bit more nutritious, and it definitely tastes better. So I really encourage people to do that. As much as you can, try to maintain a structure with meals. I think it's tempting during the summer to kind of throw our whole routines out the window. And while that's a good thing for kids sometimes, I think trying to focus on structure with meals is still important. The school schedule actually encourages a lot of healthy habits. So we want to try and, as much as we can or somewhat mimic that routine. So kind of, in the same vein, a regular eating schedule for kids is something you want to try and aim for as much as you can. So 3 meals, 1 to 2 snacks, or if things are like really varying and kind of like, they're all over the place, try and just aim for like regular scheduled meals. So like meals or snacks every 2 to 3 hours, or at the very minimum, breakfast every single day, because that way, you're getting in a good meal, you're getting in something with some protein, with some fiber, with some good carbs, to help power them for the rest of the day. A couple more tips. I talk about this a lot with the families that I work with. Investing time in meal prep is really important. This is really a good way for us to to make sure that we have some healthier options available, and kind of, helps us not always go to that stuff that's easier, but that's not such a great choice for us. So, using your crock pot over the summer, I know like I don't want to turn my oven on or turn anything on that's going to produce any heat. So, or like cook pasta, hard-boiled eggs for some protein, cut up fruits and veggies. These are easy things to take like a half an hour, hour to prepare when you have some time. One thing I like to stress is really avoiding grazing on processed snacks. Like grazing is okay sometimes, but grazing on processed snacks is bad because we really don't get any kind of nutrients from them, and they really just make us want more. So they fill us up, and they're very tempting, they're very satisfying, but they don't actually fill us up. So they really like, it's it's much better to choose something like cut up fruit, cut up veggies, anything to avoid those things that really are kind of like our more nutrient poor foods. And encourage outdoor activity. I know it's a struggle to get kids off of their screens and get them outside, but physical activity and any kind of exercise actually really helps us regulate our appetites. So, there's been research and studies done on this, like more exercise and more activity it doesn't have to be outside, but it actually helps us to tune in more to our hunger and our fullness signals, which is really important when we're trying to talk about balance with meals and foods. And keep in mind, like more sedentary time equals more screen time equals more boredom snacking. So for that reason alone, definitely trying to cut down on that screen time, and get outside a little bit. All right. And then these are just like some like cute little like planners, some schedules. You can find this stuff online if you just, Google like free like, planners and schedules. But Raising Kids with Purpose, Simply Well Balanced. There's a lot of nice blogs out there with some ideas for kind of trying to maintain that structure. And some are checklists, some are bucket lists. All that stuff can kind of help take the focus away from like, okay, what am I snacking on? What am I eating? What treats am I having? To okay, what are we going to do today? So, all right. So as far as hydration, we want to kind of remember it's more important during the summer. So it's important all year long, but summer means hot, humid weather, and really, I don't think many people understand this, but kids actually don't sweat as much as adults in higher temperatures. So sometimes it's a little harder for them to cool off. So really, the best thing is to try and make sure that they're kind of keeping track of their hydration. They have access to those better drinks. So definitely like choosing drinks with low or no sugar. What I teach and what I say is no liquid sugar. So like no juice, no soda, no iced tea, lemonade. We'll talk about sports drinks, but really trying to choose things like milk, water. So water is best for most of our drinks. You can do fruit infused water, you can do seltzer, you can do like unsweetened iced teas. You can even make it fun. You can get some like herbal teas or some like Starbucks has like a passion fruit tea that they do or a passion tea. That's something that you can easily do at home. You can get different types of herbal teas and have fun with making like some unsweetened iced tea options. And just keep in mind, dehydration isn't always a risk, but it's important to know kind of like what the signs are. Things like dark urine, muscle cramps, dry mouth, weakness. These are kind of signs that we need to pay attention to our hydration and drink a little bit more water. And then I did want to just kind of talk about fruits and vegetables. So we'll talk about this a little on the next slide, but there's a lot of other ways to get water in and to be hydrated besides drinking something. So actually, there's a lot of ways that we can get water in from fruits and vegetables. So things like cucumbers, melons, strawberries, even things like bell peppers, or oranges, they actually are very water rich. And some people believe even that we hydrate a little bit better when we eat things like that, rather than if we just constantly drink water. So just something to kind of keep in mind. All right. So how much hydration should we really even be having? Like how much water should we be having during the day? And I don't want to say like there's no exact amount for everyone. It depends on age, it depends on sex, it depends on weight, your activity levels, and then it also depends on outdoor conditions, like how hot or how humid it is. So it really is kind of variable. You can use a guideline of 8 to 10 cups per day. There's ways that we can calculate this. When I calculate out fluid needs for someone, invariably it ends up being somewhere around this number anyways. So it actually is a pretty good guideline. For kids, I would say somewhere between 32 to 64 ounces is, probably for most kids adequate. That's about 1 to 2 liters per day. And keep in mind, this can come from different fluids. It doesn't have to come from water. And I think, those water-rich fruits and vegetables, they can contribute. Iced teas can contribute as long as they're unsweetened. So keep in mind there's other ways. And then I think, we don't necessarily need to be like over concerned with hydration because that is also a concern. But just teaching kids to listen to their body is a really good way to try and get them to drink. If you're thirsty, drink more. If you haven't had anything to drink in a while, you have to have something to drink. Especially if kids are actively playing outside or playing sports, obviously they need more. And this is really for kids who are playing sports intensely outside in the heat, but drinking before, during, and after activity. And when are sports drinks necessary? I like to just talk about this because there is a place for sports drinks, but more often than not, we really don't need them. They really are only necessary if you are participating or if your child is participating in an activity that lasts longer than 1 hour. Longer than 1 hour means it doesn't mean an hour and 10 minutes. It means like an hour and a half, 2 hours, or really hot or humid conditions, no matter like, really what the time is. So really, playing outside, you don't need a sports drink. Even if it's like a 45-minute or like an hour-long like soccer game, you don't need a sports drink. Really, we're talking about like spending a long time outside in the heat, football camps, running long distances outside. So it's, more often than not, plain water is perfectly fine to rehydrate. But just keep in mind, if you are looking for a sports drink, it should contain some type of carbohydrates like sugar as well as sodium, because that helps our body to rehydrate if the sports drinks are truly needed a little bit better than plain water. So things like, I just like to point this out, things like Body Armor and things like Prime, they're not actually hydration drinks. They're really just like kind of like another form of like a sugary drink, or like in the case of Prime, doesn't have much sugar. But just keep in mind, if you're looking for a hydration drink, those drinks actually aren't adequate because they don't have sugar, or enough sugar, and they don't have enough sodium. So really, if you need a sports drink, Gatorade or Powerade is really the way to go. So some tips to stay hydrated. I think getting a new water bottle is like the number one thing that you can do. I feel like for the kids that I talk to, I think it's the best thing, because it actually, like, it's a fun accessory and you want to drink out of it. Decorate with fun stickers. You can get one with a diffuser. Those are a couple from Amazon on the side. And you can add citrus and fruit for flavor. So you could do like cucumber lemon, you could do strawberry and lemon, raspberry lime. So you can kind of like mix it up a little bit, and make it a little bit more fun, because drinking plain water all the time is kind of boring. Um, and then, like we talked about before, choosing those water-rich fruits and veggies for snacks. This is a great way to stay hydrated and also to have a healthy choice. All right, I'm gonna try to move this out of the way. So some easy like meal and snack ideas. So I just put this together so that you guys can kind of see what's like good options for breakfast. And then we'll go through some lunch and snack ideas. So yogurt parfaits, chia seed pudding, overnight oats, smoothies, breakfast burritos. I tried to come up with a cute name for this, but just like toast, layer toast, avocado toast, or like strawberry toast, things like that. But I put some of the descriptions there, but really like taking this, and you can kind of customize it. So if you're doing overnight oats, you can do peanut butter and jelly overnight oats by taking that recipe and just adding like a tablespoon of peanut butter and maybe 1 or 2 teaspoons of jelly. You can do mango coconut. So instead of the plain milk, you could do a coconut milk, and you could put sliced fresh mango. You can do strawberry lemon by putting a little bit of lemon juice and some sliced strawberries. So you can do this for like the chia seed pudding or the yogurt parfait too. That's a fun thing to involve kids in, because it allows them to make a decision about what they want to add and what they want to eat, but they're still getting something healthy out of it. Same thing with smoothies. The thing that I like to just kind of touch on with smoothies, and just to keep in mind, is it's important to have some balance with smoothies too. So 1 cup of liquid, meaning like some type of milk, a low-fat milk, an unsweetened almond milk, an unsweetened oat milk, but always making sure that there's not just like the milk and fruit, that you're adding other things to kind of help balance that out. So liquid, fruit, vegetable on top of that. So some kind of like veggie, maybe it's just some spinach, maybe it is some sweet potato, maybe it's something different, but try to add also some healthy fat or fiber. So healthy fat would be like maybe some nuts or seeds, maybe a tablespoon of peanut butter, or almond butter, and then some fiber maybe would be either a veggie, or some chia seeds, some flax seeds, or even a little bit of, you can just put raw oats in if you have a good enough blender. So, but just keeping in mind all these things we want to do to try and help balance out these meals. And that's some lunch and dinner ideas. So again, like, there's several different food groups represented in most of these ideas. So things like pasta salad, you can do like a DIY salad bar. So put out like a bunch of toppings, let kids kind of choose their salad, and you can do like different like themes for your toppings. You could do like a Mexican salad with like corn and black beans, and a little bit of cheese. You could do like a sushi salad with like edamame and sliced carrots, and maybe like a like sriracha mayo. You can do like a pizza salad with like a turkey pepperoni, stuff like that. But just to get like a little creative, and it allows kids to have a little bit of autonomy in choosing their foods. So things like hummus wraps, and what else do I have on there? Kebabs. And I also like with kebabs, you can do like protein and veggies, but you can also add halloumi. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's a kind of cheese. It's also called bread cheese, but you can find it in the grocery store. It's really good for grilling, so that can be a fun thing to add to the kebabs to give it a little extra something. Air fryer pizza, you can do flatbread or tortillas with cheese in the air fryer. Quesadillas, using that crock pot, and even doing like a DIY charcuterie plate. But again, balance, so not just meat and cheese, trying to add maybe some whole wheat crackers, some fruits and veggies, maybe some olives or something else on there. And some easy snack ideas for snacks and treats. Something I really like to do is yogurt bark. You can just take regular, you could do plain yogurt with a little bit of sweetener, or you could do like a low sugar sweetened vanilla yogurt. And you just take that, you spread it onto a sheet pan, and then you can you can top that with sliced fruit. You can top it with granola. You could even top it with you could even put like sprinkles on there to make it fun. You could put a little bit of like toasted almonds, anything to kind of like jazz it up a little bit. But in the same vein, you want to like try and make sure that most of the treats, if you're going to have them, are something that has a little bit of good stuff in them. So DIY popsicles, you can blend frozen fruit and use some kind of flavored yogurt. You could dip fruit in yogurt or chocolate. You could do a fruit salsa with plantain or tortilla chips, or you could do like a DIY popcorn where you just take like regular popcorn kernels, you pop them, and then you can top it with different flavors. So you could do like a chocolate drizzle. You could even take like a ranch seasoning and put it on there, a little bit of Parmesan cheese and herbs. So just getting creative with it. And just some healthier swaps and alternatives. So I know, sometimes it's hard to make a healthy choice if we're not either at home or if we're out somewhere at a family or friend's house, or we're on vacation. But there are ways to make like slightly better choices, and it's not about totally restricting all of our favorite foods over the summer, because there's so many, and that's a part of summer, is enjoying yourself and enjoying the foods that you have. But just trying to focus on like making better choices most of the time will help ensure that you have a little bit of something that you do like, but also having some nutrition from those better options. So I just put together a little list here. So slushies, smoothies, playables. I know playables are big, but instead choosing like a homemade smoothie bowl. So the trick with like homemade smoothie bowls is to try and get like all frozen ingredients. So if you want that like, creamier texture, you have to do like frozen veggies, frozen fruits, making sure you only add like enough liquid to blend it to get that like really, smooth kind of creamy consistency. So some other options instead of chips, trying to do like popcorn, whole grain crackers, rice cakes. They have a lot of options for rice cakes now. They have the ranch, caramel, and they're still a really good choice. Instead of things like ribs and hot dogs, some of the time we really want to try and pick stuff like grilled chicken or turkey burgers, because they're much better options than things like processed meats. We do want to try and stay away from those. Macaroni or potato salad, we can kind of swap that out for corn on the cob or something like that. Takeout pizza, I know this is a really quick option over the summer, and it's easy, doesn't require turning the oven on, but neither just using an air fryer. So trying to use that idea of a DIY like a pita pizza or like a flatbread pizza in the air fryer can be a good substitute for that, and it doesn't take long if you have the ingredients. Again, ice cream, sugary popsicles, maybe some of the time try and swap that out with like DIY popsicles. And again, that allows you to kind of get creative with it, and gives kids some choice in what they're eating. All right. And I just want to stress this because I think it's so important. Choosing fresh and local is really a really good way to make sure that you're getting nutritious stuff, and that we're also supporting our local farmers. New Jersey has a lot of farms, believe it or not, and we have a lot of options, especially during the summer. There's a reason we're called the Garden State. And definitely just take advantage of that. There's farmers markets, we have farms, there's local farm stands. You can start a garden. It doesn't have to be a big garden if you have the space, or if you don't have the space, you can start a window garden. Putting a couple plants, maybe some herbs, some basil or something in the window, and they actually, if you have a sunny window, it grows pretty well. And then, you get the added benefit of being able to teach kids about where their food comes from. And I think that, for a lot of kids, this really helps to encourage them to, be more likely to try new things, because a lot of kids are picky eaters. And I think involving them in something really helps to, kind of open their eyes and get them a little bit more familiar. And especially if you have a garden, they have, some buy-in with that. So definitely, if you can, it's a great thing to do. All right. And another plug for New Jersey produce. All right. I just think it's really cool that we produce so many fruits and vegetables. So this is a list actually of where New Jersey stands in terms of production of different fruits and vegetables in the nation. So we actually rank first in eggplant production, believe it or not. I guess our soil is just really good to grow eggplants here. And we actually are third in tomato and cranberry production. And we are fourth in spinach, bell peppers, and asparagus. So believe it or not, a lot of the nation gets its produce from New Jersey, even though a lot of people like to make fun of us. We are the garden state, believe it or not. So I think it's really cool. And I think it's a good opportunity, especially during the summer, to get kids involved in that and to get them to kind of understand that as well. And last shameless plug for New Jersey produce, I swear. Places that you can find local farmers markets, local farms, and farm stands or anything like that. Edible Jersey and Fine Jersey Fresh are the best ones. I find I go on a couple of websites. I try and see what the best places are to find updated information. I would recommend these two websites. I think they have the best and most updated information as far as like the farm stands and farmers markets, because sometimes that does vary. So just some takeaways. This is my last one or two slides. Really trying to stick to a schedule for meals and for snacks, because as much as you can, other things are going to be out of your control during the summer, and that's okay. Kids need some time to not have structure. But I think structure is a good thing with meals and with snacks. So just like I kind of talked about in the beginning, try not to, be too rigid with it, but at the very least, trying to maintain a schedule of every 2 to 3 hours having a meal or snack, and at least trying to start the day with breakfast, and also helping kids to find other ways to nourish too. Fun activities, family time, games, like these are really important things that help to kind of like fill our cup as well. Again, hydration is important. We want to choose low sugar drinks or no sugar drinks and water most of the time, and also having some of those water rich fruits and veggies, and really just trying to focus on like adding like that concept of like your food needs friends, just not subtracting, because I think that helps our kids understand that balance is about adding things, not subtracting things, which is what we want to try and focus on. And keep in mind, food is fun and food is also fuel. So we need a little bit of both. So, yeah, that is pretty much it. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to learn more about our KidFit program, that's our website, and our email. So that is it.
If you have any questions, you could put it now in the Q&A chat and we will ask it out loud. So I'll give you guys about a minute to put in the questions if you have any. Okay, we have one question. What suggestions do you have to add fiber for a child on the spectrum that won't eat vegetables and very limited fruit?
Start with the fruits. If they'll eat fruits, start with the fruits. And I would suggest, like, if there's any fruits that they like, try and serve those regularly. So not so much that you want to prevent, like, you don't want them to be like totally burned out on stuff, but the best things are, I think, even applesauce has a little bit of fiber. So things like apples, what are other good sources of fiber? Peaches have a little bit of fiber. What else? Let me think. Apples, pears, peaches, berries. You can serve them alongside things that they like. Or if they like smoothies, that can be a good way to add a little bit of fiber in too. So I would say, but also if, you know, fiber is an issue, getting enough fiber in, also try and stay away from those fruits that are like a little bit fiber poor. Bananas are a big one. So try and stay away from those because sometimes they can be a little constipating. So I would say smoothies, focus on the fruits that they do like. You can try and add in some vegetables, but also hydration is very important. So with all of that, I think trying to focus on the foods that they do like, and even previously rejected foods. So if there were foods that they did like, and now they've rejected, try and revisit some of those foods. I hope that answers your question.
That was great. A lot of people are putting in the chat, thank you, it was a great presentation, that it was excellent information and they learned a lot. And then someone said they started
You're welcome.
small juiceless starch-less summers. I'm assuming that's a company. But if nobody has any more questions, we just want to remind everyone that we will be sending out this presentation to you guys, hopefully by tomorrow or the following week. And if there's no more questions, we can probably go ahead and end the presentation.
Thank you
so
all. Have a good summer.